every year. It will be the largest graduate scholarship program focused on all disciplines at any university in the world. The Knight Hennessy Scholarship Program is open to students studying in all disciplines because we believe there are opportunities for important leadership in every walk of life.
This will make a difference because problems don't come in neat disciplinary packages. They come with a need to bring people from across disciplines, across schools, and the students who come here will have access to the full complement of professional schools.
I loved the idea of studying at a university where the different schools talk to each other. It's amazing to me that I can learn about the physiology of the human body during the morning, and then in the afternoon take a cost effectiveness class at the business school.
The value of being at Stanford is really the breadth of resources and people available. For example, looking at the issue of climate change, I've been able to draw upon so many different programs and opportunities to really engage as a researcher, to engage as a scientist or a policymaker, to really have a chance to see some of these issues firsthand.
One of the things we're really enthusiastic about this program is it's bringing of great students from all around the world. This is a program that's located in the United States, but on the Pacific Rim, on a place where people from all different civilizations and parts of the world come together.
Stanford really values the diversity of its student body, and that means not just your nationality or your race, but your ideology and your philosophy. It's a place where difference is opportunity and it's cherished.
My business school class is about 40% international students, and I think we all learn so much from each other, both in and outside of the classroom.
We sit in the cradle of innovation, the place where the world changes constantly, and we bring that innovative entrepreneurial spirit to everything we do.
The modern world is an incredible source of innovation, and Stanford stands at the center of that, creating new companies, new schools of thought, prize-winning professors, inspired art and literature, miracle drugs, and amazing graduates.
I can't think of any place I'd rather be a graduate student than here in California, especially in Silicon Valley, where there's so much opportunity, so much innovation happening around you, and it's all within arm's reach.
At Stanford, we've always tried to encourage people to take innovations, to take new ideas, to put them to use for the betterment of humankind. And the Knight Hennessy Fellows will both benefit from that and contribute to that long tradition of innovation in the service of humankind.
Stanford is a place where we believe innovation has an important role to solve global problems. We're optimists about making the future better, and we seek scholars who want to join that optimistic setting and who want to make their contributions to the world.
They will become foreign ministers, prime ministers, innovative scientists, leading business people. This program will very simply change the world.
So we are hoping you can all have an opportunity to apply. And for this scholarship, you have to apply after you graduate within 4 years. Okay, so within 4 years, you have to apply the program. And so who are they looking for? They are looking for someone to dream big and are ambitious for others. So basically, this is what Nike founders write for this mission, who are we looking for? Our think, our work, and our care. Nike founder actually, he come up with a Nike called Just Do It. So he also used a very simple term, our think, our work, and our care. So this is I hope you guys, all can apply. You never know. Sometimes you apply, you just get in. Okay. So, but if you don't try, you never have a chance. Okay. And today, our lecture will focus on point of view. And we brought in 2 Stanford alumni. One is Dr. Julie Xie. And another one is Dr. Zikai Xiao. And we will have Julie Xie first. And Julie is a background with medicine and also started art and music. And she had practiced as a family doctor in Seattle for 7 years. And right now she come back to Taiwan, become the TV producer, as well as art collector, and she have a own art gallery. So I will have her to tell her story about what mattered most to her and why. Okay.
All right, thank you, Max, for the introduction. And my name is Julie Shea, and I'm very happy to be here today. I went to Stanford for my undergraduate, so I was there right after high school. And as Max already revealed to everybody, I'm a medical doctor, but I came back to Taiwan 5 years ago, and now I have my own art gallery and also an artist. So this topic is very relevant to my life because what matters to you most and why is a question, that you may see in your own lifetime once, twice, maybe several times. And how many of you, who are professors or graduate students are doing what you started out thinking you were going to do? Nobody raised their hand. Because sometimes life happens, situations change, and you yourself will change, and your inspirations may be different. So this is a very important question. It's a great class, course to help you to try to design your life. But once you design it, be open and flexible that maybe this is what you design now, but maybe sometimes later you have different opportunities that may come up, and still be open to that. And so here's my story, and then everyone has their own story. So I'm just here to share mine. And my story seems to be one that many people are interested in learning about. So this is a copy of this magazine. It's called Centered on Taipei. It's an English magazine that's based in Taiwan. And I have several copies, so if you're interested, you can feel free to have a copy. And the title of this is Returning Home and Finding My Taiwan Dream. It's kind of the opposite, right? Because a lot of people, they feel like, oh, I want to go outside of Taiwan and, and find my dream somewhere else, the US or Europe, but I have come back to Taiwan and I found my Taiwan dream. So it's quite interesting how that happens. And so it took a trip halfway around the world and 30 years of being away from my home country of Taiwan before realizing that what I was searching for was my Taiwan dream. So how did this happen? And so this is one article that came out in the Central magazine just last month. And then again, in Prestige magazine, you can find this at your local bookstore. Recently, they were looking for atypical artists, okay? So that would be me. I'm what you would call an atypical artist because the way I found art is rather maybe indirect and based on some chance opportunities. And so they interviewed me at my gallery, and this magazine is out right now in the April issue. And also Natalie from Taiwan Today for Radio Taiwan International, I met her at an event at my gallery, and she asked me if she could interview me, to hear about my story. And I hope my story is one that will inspire people, to think about what matters to you most and why. So let's start from the very beginning. So I was born in Taipei, Taiwan. I was the first grandchild on my mother's side of the family. I was a very happy child, as you can see. My parents at the time had a copper exporting company, so they exported copper to the United States. And I was very happy to be a Taiwanese child. Okay, and we're talking today about milestones and inflection points and important events in your life that shape who you are. And throughout my presentation, you'll see when these inflection points and milestones happen and changes my perspective on my life. And after doing this presentation, I was thinking about these inflection points and milestones. So as I go through my presentation, I think you can think about the different categories of these inflection points. So there's volitional milestones. Okay, volitional means it's your own conscious, personal will. Okay, something that you think about and with consciously and decide for yourself. And there's also non-volitional, meaning you have no control. It just happens to you. And these are all things that can affect your perspective and your path in life. And also, you can also think about the personal or public sphere of these milestones. There are some milestones that is very personal, it just happens to you. But there's some that may affect your whole family and some affecting even the whole world. So as you see in my presentation, keep in mind these different categories of inflection points and milestones, that can have an effect on your own personal life. So coming up to my first milestone, I moved to the United States with my parents and my sister at 6 years old. So at 6 years old, this was back in around mid-1980s, I moved with my family to Richardson, Texas. It's a suburb of Dallas. And I think when I got on the plane, I didn't really realize that we were moving there for good. I thought, oh, we're going to Disneyland, right? So, it was quite a shock when we go there. And I figure out, wow, we are moving to the United States. And it was a big shock for me, to this happy, 6-year-old Taiwanese child. And language barrier, a big thing, because I did not speak a word of English. My parents did not prepare us. I think we got our visa, and pretty much the next day we were on the plane to the U.S. So it was a big shock. And at that point in my life, I felt like my personality, just that childhood innocence and just, my identity, it retracted, my expressiveness retracted. And I was just focused on, getting used to this new country, learning English to be able to communicate, right? And that, was just a big milestone that happened to me very early. So this is what you would call, is this volitional or non-volitional? Yeah, non-volitional. I had no idea this was going on. It happened because my parents, said, let's go to the U.S., and it just happened to me. And this is more like something that will be affecting the sphere of family. It affected me, my parents, my sister. And so I studied very hard. I took ESL classes, English as Second Language class, in the public elementary school I went to. And at that point, I was in the first grade. And we had private tutors that came to our house, and we would listen to countless English 900 tapes. Okay, we were trying to learn to speak English without any accent. And I can still remember the sound, of this English 900 tape. They would speak, and you would listen to the inflection of the voice, and you try to imitate that accent, the American accent. And I remember going to school and feeling, isolated because I couldn't communicate with my friends. Fortunately, there was one girl, Lisa Wang, who is Taiwanese American, and so I had someone that I could, that could help me get through the class. But I remember taking spelling tests. I was like, I didn't know how to spell anything. Like even B, like B-E-E, something as simple as that. And I was in the first grade. And I look at my daughter now, who's in the second grade, and she's reading Harry Potter, okay? And she's reading Harry Potter for the second time. I think she's done. And, so it's just amazing. But I really, tried to study hard. I pushed myself to study hard. And because I saw my parents, also working to start all over. They had to leave their business in Taiwan and, to start this new life in the U.S. And so I had to try my best too. And so by the 6th grade, so, I went to the U.S. in the middle of first grade. By the 6th grade, after studying very hard, I was able to pass an entrance exam to attend a private school in Dallas. It was a college preparatory school for girls. It was a very prestigious school. And from 6th grade to 12th grade, I was there, and I had very good education, because my parents believe that education is the key to success in whatever you decide to do. And so I was there from 6th grade to 12th grade. And another very important milestone happened to me there. I started taking, I was in the choir, so starting from the 6th grade, as soon as I got into Hockaday, I started singing in the choir. And then by 9th grade, I started taking voice lessons, because the singing was something that brought me out of my shell. So I used to be, very shy, and when you have to sing in front of all your peers and teachers, you have to have some confidence, and the singing brought me out of my shell and became a core part of who I am, and really helped me, throughout high school to define who I am through the singing and the music. And the singing actually started, and sometimes you meet a milestone or you decide to do the voice lesson, and it could be by the suggestion of one voice, okay, or just one idea. Then maybe if you don't pay attention, you might not even notice it. Okay, so I was sitting on the bus on a field trip with my class, and the principal was sitting in front of me. And it was a long trip, so everyone was pretty much falling asleep, and I was really bored. And I don't know why, I just started humming or singing something to myself. And the principal, who also likes to sing and was taking voice lessons at the school, he turned around and said, you should really consider taking voice lessons. And I thought, wow, I never even thought of that, And I really, I listened to his idea, and I thought, I think I'll try it. So in the 9th grade, I started taking voice lessons. And I was competing nationally. I performed, every chance I could get. I had a senior voice recital. And, I wanted to be an opera singer. That was my career goal, okay, in high school. I wanted to be an opera singer. And it came from this idea, from this field trip, and the principal sitting in front of me telling me about this idea that just, switched my perspective. I thought, I think this could really help me. I think this is, what I've been searching for at this time in my life. And so, I told my parents that I want to be an opera singer, and they weren't too excited about that. They thought, well, maybe you can consider being a doctor or a lawyer, because, you have good grades, you study hard. And sometimes, as we're growing up and we're trying to figure out what we do, the things that our parents say do affect us. So I was trying to decide, okay, if I really love this singing, but they're being practical, right? It's probably hard to, be very successful as an opera singer, So if I'm a doctor, at least it's a stable job, right? But then something happened to me when I was about 15 years old. I got appendicitis. Okay, do you guys know what that is? Okay. Huh? 对，盲肠炎. Okay, so when I was 15, I got appendicitis, and I was in high school, and I had to go to the hospital urgently to get an operation. But because of that experience, I saw firsthand the empathy and the compassion of doctors and nurses who were treating me. And I thought, wow, this is what it's like to be a doctor and a nurse, to heal people, to help people. And I felt like I want to develop that, in myself. I want to develop that compassion and that empathy and helping others, through medicine. So at that point, I decided, okay, I will become the doctor that my parents want me to be. But I still like to sing, so I'll just sing whenever I can. Okay, and so I graduated at the top 10% of the class. These are the top 10% of the class. I'm right there, the really old photo. These are the friends I hung out with. Okay, it's quite interesting because you see, Okay, so, my friend, that's me, that's Nakia, that's Susan Chen, she's also Taiwanese American, Yvette, and Nihal from Egypt, Emily Jo from Hong Kong, and our one token white person in our group. Okay, so this is the reality of the U.S. People look for people hang out with people that are like them, that look like them, that, and it's the reality of being in the U.S. So I think that feeling of, being American but not really American because I look Asian, right, is something that since I was very young, even through my last day of, being in Seattle before I moved to Taiwan, it's something just always there in the back of my mind, and coming back to Taiwan, it's like, my own people, it's really a great feeling. That's why I love Taiwan so much, and, I'm so happy my kids can experience just that there's, we're the majority, and it's a different feeling when you're a majority versus like a minority in another country. And I think that's another reason I came back to Taiwan and enjoy it so much here. So, okay, I got to Stanford. My whole family was so excited. And I think what helped me when I was applying to Stanford at the time for undergrad, I sent in a supplemental cassette tape. Do you guys know what cassette tape is? Yeah, okay. Yeah, 录音带. Okay, so that time we used cassette tapes, okay? And so I sent in a cassette tape of my singing. Okay, it was like an aria from Rossini, Una voce poco fa. And I think that really helped me to stand apart from the other students who were applying to be an undergraduate. And it was a college preparatory school, well known. So the dean of admissions of Stanford, when he visited our school, he remembered me, because of my tape of singing. And I think that really, really helped me. And here I am at Stanford, pre-med on the path to become a doctor. So I was a human biology major. And this is an interesting major. It's a multidisciplinary major. You can take classes from biology, from sociology, from psychology, from history. And it's like designing your own major. Just like this is a designing your life course. This is a designing your own major at Stanford as an undergrad. So there are people who are pre-med, who are pre-law, who are business, different people who have different paths and career aspirations who are human biology major. And I think it fits me very well, as you see throughout my life. I always like to try many different things, sometimes all at once, okay? And, but even though I was pre-med and took all the pre-med courses, I took voice lessons at the music department at Stanford. I had a senior voice recital. I was in Gilbert and Sullivan. It was a student group, and also people outside Stanford could be part of this group. And we performed. We had 3 performances. At one point, I was the lead. At one point, I was in the choir. At one point, I was the producer. So I tried out different aspects, of being in this production company. And so again, this medicine music was something that was part of my life, since high school and then through college. After Stanford, I went to Baylor College of Medicine. So I went back to Texas, and this is a medical school in Houston. And so I was there from 1999 to 2003. Studied very hard, memorized a lot of things. And this is at my graduation. My mom and my dad, very happy I became a doctor, right? But you notice this date, 1999 to 2003. Do you guys know what happened during that time? That was, what you can say, a big event, a big tragedy that affected probably the whole world. Yes, okay. So September 11, 2001, right? So this is something that affects the whole world, and definitely non-volitional. No one expected this. This is like probably the closest the U.S. got to war on their territory, on the land of the U.S. In modern time. And this is something that was very, very scary for many of us. My sister, I have 2 younger sisters. One was in New York, and one was in D.C. as a congressional page to U.S. Congresswoman during 9/11. I was in Houston, Texas. Okay, so I was safe, right? But that morning, I remember I was in the hospital, at Methodist Hospital, seeing patients and writing notes about the patient. And I was in the lobby. All of a sudden, I'm seeing this on a screen, like this unreal. You feel like you're in a dream. And then I was like calling my mom, like, oh my God, do you see what's going on? And then we were like frantically trying to reach my sisters who were in New York and in DC at the time. So this event is something that affected many, many people and, really set them on some paths, that affected their whole life. So actually, because of this event, my mom came back to Taiwan from the US to establish a Buddhist TV station, okay, to spread goodwill, okay, to spread more education and more goodwill in the world. And so, probably if it weren't for this event, my parents would not have come back, and I wouldn't be here today. So because of this event, from some tragedy, it sets you off on a course of life that you would never expect. And so she went back to Taiwan, and I continued, right? I'm on this path to become a doctor. So after medical school, you have to do residency. And I went to, again, sunny California. I love California, It's a great place. And so I went to UC Irvine for my family residency. This is Julie, our interpreter. She was helping me to, take some photos at the time for probably some article. And I did well there. I got the Golden Gavel Award for outstanding leadership. I was a clinical chief resident in my last year, and I was getting ready to do a geriatrics fellowship. I thought, okay, I really want to help people. And I feel like old people, they really need help. A lot of people, they just don't care about old people, and I really want to try to help them. But I was about to go to my geriatrics fellowship. I got a call from my mother, okay? And she called from Taiwan, and she said, Julie, we have this TV station now, and you know how you love to sing, and you have a beautiful voice, and I think if you sing Buddhist songs in your voice, so many people will love it, and you can heal through singing and Buddhism. And so I was like, what? Are you crazy? I'm about to do my geriatrics fellowship. But my mom is very convincing. Okay? And being the oldest daughter of 3, okay, I felt like a duty, And so sometimes when you're thinking about what matters to you most and why, at the time I felt like, just respecting my parents' wishes was a big part of what I wanted to do. And also, I always wanted to be an opera singer, right? So I can go back to Taiwan and just sing, okay? So I thought, okay, maybe I can just do this for I'll take a year off. I take a year off after residency, and I sing as much as I can, and then I go back and I start my clinic. That's how I was able to reach a compromise. I'll do both, okay? I want to do everything, right? So that's what I did. I went back to Taiwan for 1 year. Okay, this is very different, right, from the previous picture when I'm a doctor. Okay, so this is my original dream of being an opera singer. They had a TV studio, so we recorded so many music videos, and I even had a charity concert with an orchestra. And how do you do this YouTube? Okay, so this is a Dr. Julie show, and the name was given by my mom. She wanted to make sure people knew I was a doctor, right? Because she's very proud of that. This is Habanera from Carmen by George Bizet. I think it gives you an idea. Okay, so this is my singing, my 1 year, doing my singing, and okay, yes, and okay, And then so I culminated my singing year in Taiwan, with a charity concert, and this is at the TICC. So, and it felt like I was in a different dimension. You probably a lot of you see those science fiction movies where they're like multiple dimensions. I felt like, wow, this is very different. I felt like I was like in a different dimension of my life. So after my year, I got married. Okay, and this is a huge milestone, right, for anybody. So, I met David when I was in Houston, my last year of medical school. And he was a lawyer, and I'm a doctor, and the timing seems to be right, and and everything. So we had a wedding in Taiwan, we had a wedding in New York the week after that, and this is a big milestone in anyone's life. And once you get married, there's the society's expectation, the parents, okay, you get married, you have kids, you have your stable career, and it's like you all live happily ever after or something, right? Okay, so this is a marriage, which is, hopefully a volitional milestone, right? Something that you want to do and you thought out for a long time, and it's something that affects you greatly personally. So after we got married, I stopped my singing. I started my practice in Bellevue, Washington. I opened up my own private practice, and there are two other doctors there at the time. He's a naturopath and also a nutritionist, and we just had a practice together. And so I was in Seattle from 2007 to 2014 because my husband was a lawyer at Microsoft. Okay, and my daughter was born in 2010, and then my son was born in 2012. And it's like, wow, this is like the American dream, Like I finally make it, it's an American dream. Doctor, lawyer, I have 2 kids, a big house, and then so why am I back here in Taiwan with an art gallery, right? So, after 7 years of married as a family doctor, and one time we were visiting Taiwan, and my mom, my mom seems to appear in this presentation very often, right? So my mom, she fell, as she was coming out of the bathtub, and she had just soaked in the bathtub like a hot tub, and it was very hot, and when she got out, she was a little dizzy, and she fell. And I happened to be at Taiwan, and at the time, and my dad immediately called, and so I rushed her to the emergency room, and they were like, oh, she doesn't really need a casket, and she's not vomiting, she looks okay. I was like, well, when she's already vomiting, it's too late, okay? Please do a casket. They did the casket, and she was okay, and had to be observed, for a time. But I felt like, oh my God, what if I wasn't here in Taiwan, and something like this happened? I wasn't here to take care of my parents, and I'm in Seattle taking care of other people's parents, and that event, made me feel kind of anxious, and I think I should come back to Taiwan, and at the time, actually, I was very concerned about. This is another thing about the U.S. The gun violence. Okay, at the time, it's like every other week you would see some news about some shooting at a school or a university. And at that time, it was so prevalent that it really scared me. And I was like, oh my God, I would like drive up to my kids' school, try to peek in and see they're okay. And, because and then also Seattle. Seattle is a very beautiful place. But after living there for like 7 years, okay, the sun is not very strong. So everyone there gets very low vitamin D. Okay, we have low vitamin D, you tend to get something called seasonal affective disorder. Okay, you get depressed like in the winter time. And I checked my husband's vitamin D, and it was 5, and normal is 30 to 100. Okay, so I'm sure he was like already depressed, And like the people there, they do many things, like they use happy lights, like it's something that you don't really know until you've lived there for a number of years. And then you start to visit other places in the U.S., like you go back to Texas, even New York, you're like, wow, people are so friendly. How come people are not this friendly in Seattle, And, I think the environment that you live in, your daily life over 7 years, it can really affect you. And so many things. And I my children can learn Mandarin Chinese, hopefully better than me, right? And so at the time, they were 2 and 4 years old, okay? And there's some reorganization happening in my husband's company, and the timing just seemed right. Because sometimes you think you have an idea and you want to pursue it, but maybe the timing is not right. But for us, it seemed like everything was lined up so that the timing was good for us to move back to Taiwan. And we moved back to Taiwan, okay? This is October 2014. So my kids, my husband, and okay, my parents have a TV station, right? And I wanted to do a show where my kids would like to see and also maybe learn some Chinese. And so I did a show called 弟子规, Let's Go. And, trying to be a good child, I'm a good child, right? Okay, a good child and a good student. And there's my daughter, and I created the show. Like I was even thinking about it, even before we moved back to Taiwan, I was thinking about all the songs I want to do, how the animals should look, so this ding ding dong 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 dong, okay? So, I created the show. I was like a producer, I was the host, I made all the songs for the show. It was kind of like that part of me that wanted to create, all coming out, like, wow, this is very different from when I was a doctor, using the left side of my brain, this is rational thinking, and now like using the right side to do all the creative things, like making a show, and, and so I did that for about 2 years, and within my parents' studio, and that seemed fine. What happened next? Okay, how did I get into this art? So, okay, when I worked at my parents' studio, the people I interacted are the staff, right, and my parents, right? And I didn't really get to meet too many Taiwanese people or the people living in Taiwan, and so, but then from a chance meeting, I started meeting an artist, and I met our collector, and then I was looking for painting for my house that we finally got remodeled, and went to an art gallery, and all of a sudden I was like, wow, this art field, I was always into medicine music, and now this art, come out into my life, and then I was like, wow, this visual art is also something that really resonated with me, and so I started painting, and I've never taken any art class, okay, ever, and I just started painting, and there's just something inside of me that, when I started painting, art is also a type of therapy, there's a field of art therapy, like music therapy, and, when you're painting, when you're looking at art, it gives you some, stress relief, it takes you to another world, and, when we look at a painting, we also stimulate our motor cortex in our brain. And so we're, responding to the painting, a visual stimulus of our whole body. So, visual art is a very powerful medium. Can connect many people together. It's like a universal language. So I started painting, and I felt that, wow, this art feels so fascinating. You can be an artist, an art gallery owner, a collector. You can work with many artists. So that's what I did. I did all of that. So, and this is my you can take a look at some of my paintings, and a lot of people, when they look at my paintings, they say, oh, there's music in your painting, okay? And so this is from like about end of 2006 to now. I've been painting, different kind of medium. This is ink. This was at a museum in Rome. I was doing an artist program for 1 week. This is my ink collection. I also have this rhythm collection and this abstract feelings when I first started using my fingers to paint. This is like very colorful because I just came back from Hong Kong Art Week, and there's so much stimulus and inspiration. And each of these will, if you really need there's like 26 pieces in here, but I just, for time's sake, I just show you just some highlights. And then, this one is from, doing dots like Jackson Pollock. It's like, wow, art is also, it's very much like music, but it's just a different part of myself, and, okay, so the next slide. This is me, painting on my finger. Okay, so that was me painting, and this is me establishing an art gallery. Okay, and so my parents, and at first when I told my parents that I want to start out art gallery, they were like, "What? 我们不了解艺术，你干嘛要开画了?" They were very surprised, right? But finally, this is my own passion. Right? This is my own passion, and something that I want to start from nothing. Okay, I want to create something from nothing. I had pretty much no art classes. I did take a history of art and music class in high school, but I wanted to experience what it's like to just learn something completely new my parents didn't know anything about, and see what I can do with it. And so I made this YouTube video when I first started, and I had these ideas in my head about what I want to do, with my art gallery. 可以干。
艺术可以超越国籍界限。Art can transcend the boundaries of nationalities and language. 希望从艺术方面推广台湾至国际舞台。Through the soft power of art, Taiwan can be promoted internationally. 我在美国长大，这3年回到台湾定居，我以台湾人为荣。I am proud to be Taiwanese. 希望将台湾的光芒传播到世界。9月30日，宛如画廊开幕茶会主题，我是台湾，希望大家共襄盛举。Welcome everyone to join us at Wanru Gallery's grand opening exhibition on September 30th.
The others are not.
我是台湾 I am Taiwan.
Okay, so this is like my opening exhibition of my gallery. It's a very strong statement. I'm so happy, to be back in Taiwan. I'm very proud to be from Taiwan. And at that time we had a joint exhibition. 就是一些很资深的艺术家，like 陈景龙、连建新、赖纯纯。They're very established Taiwanese artists. And for some reason, they all want to work with me, right? This Taiwanese American, who had no background in art, and I had these ideals in my head about what I want to do with the art. And that's what it starts out sometimes, just have an idea. Because if you don't have an idea, then you can't even move on to the next step. Okay, let's try to do it. Oh. Okay, so then, the first big exhibition for my gallery, at the very, very beginning of my gallery, was we went to Hong Kong Art Central. This is Shanghai Art Central. And, they picked up that, transcending boundaries, art and healing, Julie Shea and Wanru Gallery, So they picked up that, a doctor starting an art gallery, they think it's something that's unique. And so this is at Art Central with Lai Cunsun Laosi and Lian Jianqing. And it's like a 缘分, I didn't expect to meet them, and I met them at Art Taipei, and we just connected. And I think, like, sometimes the way I connect with people is because of my background as a doctor. I learned about empathy, I learned about compassion, I learned about how to talk to people so they feel comfortable with you. So I think all those things I learned as a doctor can apply to any field, even as an art gallery owner. And I have many exhibitions in my art gallery. And I even did exhibitions for embassies of Nicaragua, for Paraguay, So I was like, wow, 艺术也可以做外交, I was like, there's so much you can do with art. It's a universal language that connects people from all over the world, So, so we have many exhibitions with artists from many different countries. So this is a Nicaraguan art and photography exhibition. And these are all like, 大使就是一些那个 represented. He's from Argentina, she's a representative from Italy, that's a Brazil, the spouse of the Brazil represented, and and some of that's the ambassador of Nicaragua, and he's also the dean of diplomatic corps. So, it's just the art field is very fascinating for me. And also, I was developing myself as an artist. And this year, it's been like a very dreamlike year. So I went to Rome in March, and I did a 1-week artist residency at the Rome Contemporary Art Museum. And I was the first Asian artist to participate in this 1-week residency program. And it's something that I never thought could happen. In a short amount of time as an artist and also in the art field. And when I went to Rome, I did these pieces of ink. That's part of my roots, but also my Western upbringing. You can see because it's not traditional ink; it's contemporary ink. So it's bringing the two parts of me, the Western and the Eastern, together into my art. And when the Italians and all the people who went to visit this museum from all over the world, when they look at it, they felt a very strong connection to my artwork. Some of them said, wow, your artwork fills my heart. Or some of them said, your artwork makes us feel. And that's like the best compliment, for an artist, is that your artwork touched their heart, And that gives me encouragement to keep going. But it's very interesting because this year also, my music is coming back in a way. It's like this year is like, the culmination of these last few years of hard work and, starting this new business. I got to know the British Council director, Susanna, and her husband, here, Sebastian, is a violinist and also a conductor. So they invited me to sing with them and perform with them at Quanta Hall. And this was, March 19th. So, the art and music, it's come back to my life, like, very strongly. And also, I'm part of the Beiqi Forensa and also, like some Fulihui. So I perform whenever I can. And I've had about 5 performances this year. so, it's just like, wow, it's way more exciting than being a family doctor in Seattle, I think, But, I'm still helping my parents, okay? Whatever they need help with, I try my best, right? So recently, my mom, she has hosted for the U.S. Congresswoman, Eddie Bernice Johnson. She's someone that we have known from Dallas, from our time in Dallas, for 20 years. My sister was her congressional page in D.C. during 9/11. Okay, so it's someone we've known for a long time. And she recently came to Taiwan just last week. Okay, she just arrived back in the U.S. And this is the 3rd time we're hosting this World of Women for World Peace. And my mom was like, oh, I need your help to find some speakers. I was like, no problem. Because through my art, through these last few years, I met so many people. So, this is the Nijalawa Dasu, and this is the British Council Director, Susanna, and this is a Spanish artist, and this is a judge for the Taipei Court. So we had, this very international conference, Nicaragua, British, Spanish, Taiwanese, and, we had a very nice conference for world peace, which is something that is on everyone's minds, that we all want peace, right? And so even though I'm doing my own thing, my art gallery, but if my parents need me, I still try to do my best and help them. And, okay, my next exciting art event is in Venice, Italy. Okay, so in May, just a few weeks from now, I'm going to be exhibiting in Venice, Italy, at the same time as the Venice Biennale, with Lian Jianxin and Huo Yanfu, and also my own painting. And these are just people I met just randomly, and we just connected, and we just said, okay, let's work together, and we're all excited to go and be part of this Venice exhibition from May to November, and we're going for the opening week. And on my gallery, coming up very soon, we have Young Artist Exhibition, because I also want to give young artists a chance, to show their artworks. That's what artists live for, is for people to see their art. And I also want to give, as many young people as I can a chance to show their art. So, these artists are probably in their 20s, maybe early 30s. And, they all paint very nicely. So we're having an exhibition for them coming up. This is the 3rd Young Artist Exhibition that we'll have, in these last 6 months, and more to come. So, what's my next journey? It's like, the sky's the limit is a cliche, but really, I feel very lucky, that just to have everything that's happened to me, and the support of my parents, you know, and I think sometimes, you know, you have to start with an idea and then try to see what is the best way to accomplish that. And you know, you can start small, you know, and then just see where it takes you. So yeah, so and then, you know, the art has really expanded my perspective about so many things in my life, and so I hope that, you know, you're open in your own journey, whatever it may be, and you never know, okay, what will happen. So, but just be open-minded and open your heart, and you know, and do your best, you know, because all this came from a lot of hard work. So, you know, they're nice when I, you know, was working very late. You know, I sometimes work until like, you know, like very late. So this all came from hard work. You know, nothing. Whoa! Oh my God! Maybe I shouldn't work so hard. I need to. Also, it's very important to take time to relax and you know, do exercise and watch your own health. So, and if you have any questions, you know, feel free to ask me now or later. Okay. Thank you.
Take the time. We have opened up 3 questions. Then we have a poster, and then during the poster session, if you have a further question, you can personally ask her. Okay, so we will do the exercise about her point of view, what mattered most to her, and why. So you have 3 questions. Anybody else? Okay. Yeah.
Hi, I'm just curious because I read a book, and chapter 6 is about prototyping. And you like art? Did you ever, why you want to open an art gallery just because you like the art or something?
Yeah. So, you know, do you remember like when I was talking about when I was at Stanford and I was part of a music group at Gilbert and Sullivan, and I was a producer, I was a star, I was in the chorus. I think for me, like when I find something that I'm passionate about, I want to experience as many different aspects of it as I can that I can possibly do. So, you know, art, there's the field, you know, there's an art gallery, there's an artist, there's a collector, you know, and you know, I'm very blessed because I was able to try all those different aspects of the art field, and that way it's easier for me, I think, you know, as an art gallery owner, I know how to communicate better with artists because I'm also an artist, you know, and it's more like a teamwork because, you know, I also ask the artists for their suggestion, and I listen to what they have to suggest to me. So I'm not like the art gallery owner that, you know, commands all the artists or whatever. You know, we all work together, and I think that's just a big part. That's just part of my style is, you know, to be more inclusive and that everyone feels like they're collaborating and working together towards a goal. Even though, you know, I'm an art gallery owner, but when I'm with my artists, it feels more like we're equal, you know. And so it's just part of my way of my personality, you know, of doing whatever it is I do, is to try to be more inclusive and make people feel like they're participating in the process. So, and fortunately, you know, my parents had the space. The gallery used to be their office space, but they moved out that space, and that space was not really being used. So I fortunately just happened, you know, to have a nice space to do the art gallery. And after some simple remodeling, you know, it was a very beautiful art gallery space. Yeah. So that way, yeah. I hope that answered your question.
Good.
Hi, Julie. I'm Sylvia. I'm a senior student majoring in civil engineering, and I would like to ask about what is meant to your life, and or it depends on your different step of life.
Yeah. I think, you know, as you saw my presentation, you know, it seems like at one point, you know, being a doctor is very important, and now I have my art, and you know, I have many different things going on. But the way I try to like bring it all together, you know, is all about, you know, healing and try to help people through art, through music, and you know, as a doctor, you know, because there's art therapy, there's music therapy. So I think to me, my mission now is just to, you know, to introduce people to the beautiful field of art and music, and how, everyone's working so hard, and everyone's so busy, but, if you just stop and look at the beautiful things in the environment, like a lot of MRT stations or like the airports, they have beautiful public art, So you don't even have to go to an art gallery or a museum. Just in your daily life, there's a lot of art. And when you can see the artwork, truly with your eyes, then that will help you to maybe escape and, also escape from the routine world and also give you some new ideas, some fresh ideas. Because I've talked to some people who visit my gallery and they said, oh, they were stuck on this problem at work and they didn't know what to do, and they felt like they're stuck, like they're in a hole. And then for some reason they went to an art gallery, they looked at an art piece, and it just opened up their mind and their heart, So sometimes art has a way of doing something unexpected, just like it did in my life, So I think that's kind of what matters to me now the most, is trying to spread, the powerful medium of art and also music. So even on, people look at their cell phone all the time, right? People, oh, he's 滑手机. So, you can go to like those sites like Instagram, and there's so much art on there. And just like, looking at it for a few seconds, can sometimes you see a painting that you really connect with. Yeah.
So the core baby in your mind is healing people.
Right, yeah. Through the art, through the music, my parents, they played my music video, like The Common, for like maybe over 10 years, because I made that over 10 years ago. And, one time a gentleman came to my art gallery because, they found me because they saw that I opened the art gallery. And the gentleman just came in randomly one day, and I happened to be there, and he came to thank me because he said, my wife has Yoyi-zen, but because she watches your music on TV, she doesn't have to take as much medicine, and even her doctor says that music has that power and effect on people with depression or anxiety. So now I feel like it's like public health. Before I was like a doctor, taking okay, how are you doing? Okay, here's a prescription for your pain, right? And now it's like almost like public health, because I have an exhibition. I'm going to Venice. So many people are going to see the artwork. When my music videos are on TV, so many people are watching it, and they're gaining something. I don't even know it. It's like I have no idea, but it's even happening even maybe now. And it's like it's out there and it's helping people and it's like public health.
Okay, final question.
Okay.
I'm now a third year medical student, and
Oh wow!
my question is that because we grew up in Chinese culture, and it is in our heart that at some point or to some matter we have to satisfy our parents and their expectations. And my question is that, is there any point of your life that you wanted not to satisfy them or go against their will?
Oh yeah, I think that's something that's very prevalent because you see from my presentation there's some back and forth going on. My mom comes up in my presentations a lot, and it's really a part of our culture, just to teach the clear, right? When I was trying to teach my kids, right? And so yeah, and I think that's normal, to sometimes feel like, oh wow, I don't want to listen to, I want to do my own thing. And then sometimes you think back like, oh, but I want to be the good child and daughter, And I think you have to find a right balance, If you go into medicine, what is the motivation? What kind of doctor do you want to be? Do you have any what kind of doctor you want to be? Because there's so many different fields, right?
For now, I want to be OB/GYN.
Oh, good. That's a very rewarding field, So I deliver babies as a family doctor, and that's truly rewarding because most people go to the hospital and they're in pain, they need to get surgery, whatever. But when you go to have babies, it's like a happy occurrence, right? So I think that's a very rewarding field. It's a lot of hard work too, But if that's something that resonates with you, then I think you can just remember why you're doing it, and and then when you see like the mothers and the babies, I think that will also give you more motivation, to do a good job. But the parents thing is, I think it's like you have to find a good balance, because that's part of our culture, we can't get away from it. But at the same time, we have to be our own individual and have, just doing things for ourselves too, because that's what matters at the end of the day is your aspirations and your dreams. So I think trying to find a good balance and also remembering why you're doing what you're doing. Yeah. So good luck to you.
Okay, so we go back to the group session, so you can work on the problem. And if you have any deeper question, you can personally come to here to ask her. Okay.
Maybe my